Hey, rookies, week 13 is in the books, and it was the worst of the season for me. 5-8 straight up, 2-3 premium picks. Two disappointing weeks in a row now. Need to bounce back this week. So far, 114 and 79 on the year. Jeff, how was your week 13? I think you got me on a few.
It was still bad though. I was 8-5 on straight up picks, and I was 2-2 premium, and 1-0 free picks. So I mean, it was a little above 500 overall, but man, there were some games that surprised me.
Yeah, a lot of tough games for me personally. I probably wouldn't have bet that many games anyway this week, but anyway, it was a tough one. Hey, but you can get all of our picks here on rookiesbeatbookies.com, where you get all of our season for 75 bucks. Rookies Beat Bookies is up on X, Instagram, and TikTok, and we continue to put out our content on those sites. Jeff and I are going head to head. Jeff, I think you're back up by 4 or 5.
Let's see,
And
straight up, I'm 117 and 72.
Yep. And so I'm 114 and 79. So you're up on what 3 or 4? 117, 14. What does that say? 114. Yeah, you got me by 3 now.
Yeah.
So there you go. Don't do math in public. But hey, check us out, and if you want to join up, just give us an email. Only 2 teams going in on bye this week, the Cards and the Commanders, and 6 teams coming off bye from week 13. Couple of thoughts: 3 dogs, 1 straight up, and 5 covered ATS, indicating the favorites held for a second week in a row. And we finally had a week of overs with 9 of 4 teams getting over the total. And some of those overs were in the 40s though. So I think it would have been more back to a normal distribution had Vegas, had not adjusted so much to the under. Do the teams coming up off by this week have an advantage, or does Vegas have that built in at this point? Jeff, what are your thoughts?
Well, Vegas definitely was going hard towards the unders because they'd been burned so much. And this week, there's a couple that, I mean, we're talking right at a 30-point over under. That's kind of crazy in the NFL, but there's a lot of injuries too. So it's kind of hard to figure out exactly where it's going to end up. I think they're still trying to protect themselves from the overs. So I would tend to probably go over just a little bit more this week, but it's not too bad. I think they've done
Yeah,
a good job of adjusting.
yeah, I definitely would take the over 30 on that Pittsburgh game. I think they got way too low on that with the 2 new quarterbacks in there. But hey, the Jags were lucky not losing Lawrence for the season, but the Colts are on their heels and they can't lose too many. The other CJ will need to step up in a big way over the next few weeks to keep them in the top of the South until Lawrence gets back. Dell's out for Houston. Jets see what impact they have on the Texans offense. You know, he spreads the field for CJ Stroud. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, Jeff. That's one to watch. Cooper was ruled out with a possible concussion. We'll see if he comes back. He did. Brown for the Cards did not return from a heel issue, but the Cards are on bye, so it shouldn't matter. Ragnow is a center for the Lions. Got to watch that closely. You know how I feel about centers going down. Watson's hammy is acting up again for the Pack. He may need to do more Nordics during the offseason. He's had a couple hammy issues. OT Smith, linebacker Tranquil, and Cook did not return for the Chiefs. Hybe looks like he's in concussion protocol for the Rams. Baker with a knee for the Dolphins, and both left tackles did not return. We'll see if they make it to the game on Sunday, but I would definitely watch that one as they're favored by 13 points. But the Titans' defense is pretty good, so if they can get pressure, maybe that changes that. I mean, I still think Miami wins there, but, is covering 13.5 points with your offensive line down. That's kind of tough. Carr was banged up again and likely out. Winston looks to start. Looks like Seaman is in at quarterback for the Jets, and Boyle, I think he's out. I think they may even cut him. Pickett's out again. Trubisky's going. Robinson left the game for the Commanders. So you need to watch that. Jeff, thoughts on the quarterback injury situation going into Week 14, and does it affect your bets?
It is absolutely wreaking havoc on my bet. We've got Seattle and San Francisco that are the two teams that I think are for sure on the NFC side that are surviving. Everybody else that's had an injury bug hit, I think it's messing with my bets. I've got Jacksonville that I would normally pick, Cincinnati, Minnesota. I've got several that this quarterback bug is just killing my bets.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. And talking about overs, and we talked about that Pats Steelers over. I mean, I'm already looking at the game here. It's got 10 points in the first quarter. Now, maybe it won't get another 20 points in the game, but I think it's going to, right? And that's the thing. You bring in Zappy, you bring in Trubisky. Do the other defenses know how to play those guys? Because they don't have a lot of tape on them. And as they get more reps, do they get more comfortable in the offense and bring something to the offense that the other guy didn't? And I think we're going to see that. So again, I think the unders are a little bit too low this week. And we're going to kick it off with the Falcons hosting the Bucs, trying to maintain their lead in the NFC South. The Falcons are favored by 2.5, and the over-under is set at 39. Both teams are coming off wins against bad opponents. 90% of the money, I thought this was interesting, so far is on the Falcons in this one. Heavy public money. These teams are nearly identical in almost every category except the quarterback position, as Ritter continues to struggle to push the ball downfield. I like the Bucs to even up the AFC South standings with a road win. So give me the points and would fade to the over here. Jeff, who gets a win in this one?
It's another one that's really close, so I hate to say for sure. I'm going to go Atlanta because I have been on their bandwagon a lot this year. But Tampa has impressed me more than I thought they would. So I've got this within a half a point on my edge. So it's not a firm bet for sure.
Yeah, I'm going the Bucs with the points on the road. Next up, we got the Lions traveling to face the Bears. They're favored by 3.5. The over-under set at 40. This is the pundits' upset game of the week. I mean, it seems like everyone I hear, they're saying that the Bears are going to upset them. I'm watching this center issue for the Lions, but I don't think that's why the pundits are thinking the Lions are going to lose. And the Bears did play them tough last game, almost putting the upset, but the Lions were able to come back. Here the weather plays a part with the temps in the 40s. Northwest winds at about 19 miles an hour and a chance of rain, which means it will rain at Soldier Field. Since October has been tough to run on the Bears D with just about 60 yards a game. Over the past month, the Lions have been one of the worst on defense. I like the Bears here, and the 5 feels like a field goal. I think I'm going to take the Lions to win, but I don't know about that 0.5, Jeff. The Lions are a run dominated. In a run dominated game, I think this thing I would lean toward the under, although I think it's right at the number on the total. Jeff, do the Lions finish strong?
I've got this right at the over-under, so I agree there. Detroit, the last 2 weeks, has struggled, and part of that was Chicago. But I think a lot of it is with the quarterback making some mistakes, trying to push it a little bit too much. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with Detroit to get that ship righted. I think they win pretty easily, but still, I don't think I would go the over-under on this one.
All right, next up, the resurgent Bengals host the Colts and are fighting to get back into it under Browning. He had a great game last week and got some help with an injury to Lawrence for the overtime win. The Colts are coming off a late game surge to beat the Titans and stay close in the AFC South race. The Colts are coming in on a 4-game win streak. The game is going to be cold, wet, and rainy, and running will be at a premium. The Colts couldn't stop the run last week to King Henry as the Titans gashed them for 177. But given the Bengals are the 32nd best run offense, will remain on Jake's arm for sure. The question is, does home field advantage give the Bengals any advantage in the wet and the cold? Would lean toward the under here, Jeff. Who do you like in this one?
So I was just trying to update my spreadsheet for this one. So who did you say you were taking?
I didn't yet. I think we'll have to go. I mean, I think this thing's going to go under. I'll have to take a look. Let me see.
Okay. So
Go ahead. You can give your thoughts though.
well, what I'm trying to look at right
I'm going with
now.
the Colts. Going with the favorite. I just don't know that I would bet. I think just to win, I wouldn't bet the line, the
Yeah,
spread.
it's one of those that I'm trying to look at for my adjustment for injuries. So I had over adjusted a little bit for Cincinnati, and then of course the quarterback comes in and plays pretty well. So when I'm looking at this now and I'm redoing my calculation, I actually think I'm going to go Cincinnati as one of my premium picks. I think as long as the quarterback play continues, Indianapolis seems to be definitely in a rebuild. So I think they've got enough skill players and a good enough defense on Cincinnati. I like them to take care of this pretty easily.
Well, yeah, I'm going to go with the Colts, but I don't know that I would lay the I don't know that I would lay the chalk on the road there with the road win. So I'm just going to take them straight up, and I wouldn't put any money on the game if it were me. And I do fade toward the under with the bad weather and the lack of running. Next up, the Jags limp into Cleveland and face a Browns team needing to win. The Browns are favored by a field goal, and the over/under is 30.5. Vegas does not trust a CG Beathard offense against obviously and arguably the best defense in the NFL. However, that defense has been on the field more in the last few weeks, and the Ravens dropped 33, the Broncos 29, and the Rams 36 in the past 4 weeks. Very undefensive like for the Browns. Looks like PJ Walker will be back under center for the Browns as Flacco's back on the practice squad. Not sure who'll be under. I mean, I think he's going to be under center, but who knows? Cold and wet game, and the only way this gets over 30 is if the defense scores. I like the home team with the better D, with the quarterback situation up in the air for both teams. Jeff, can the Jags get it done on the road?
This was one that I did have to adjust for the injury. So whereas Cincinnati, I think they've got strong enough backup quarterback play to pull it out. Jacksonville has such a big drop off. Actually, Trevor Lawrence had been the second highest rated quarterback behind Dak Prescott for the past 5 to 6 weeks. He had really started to turn it on. So I think Cleveland takes this one. It's different than my data shows me, but my calculations for the injuries turns it to Cleveland.
Yeah, I don't like Etienne has been banged up too for the Jags. I mean, I guess he's going to be a go, but he's without Lawrence there, I think this offense sputters a bit, especially in the cold Cleveland, weather there. The cold's going to hit the bones there in the dog pound there. The dog pound's going to be in full effect in Cleveland this week.
Yeah, home field is going to be difficult.
Yeah, the Panthers travel to Big Easy and take their 1-11 season to face off against the Saints. The Saints are favored by 5.5. The over/under is 37 and a hook. The Saints won a close one in week 2, 2017 against the Panthers, but looks like they're going to be without Carr. I expect this thing to easily get over the total here with Winston at quarterback. He likes to sling it, unlike Carr. And I think that's going to open up the Saints offense a bit. And I think he's also going to throw some picks, maybe giving the Panthers some short fields. I was going to make this my free pick, but I chose not to, Jeff. But the over 37.5, I think, is a good bet. Who gets it done in the Big Easy, Jeff?
I agree with you on the over on this one. And I do think Jameis Winston is going to get a little bit of a spark under New Orleans. I think Carr is a solid quarterback that gets rattled under pressure. So I think they've been underperforming a little bit. I think Winston probably does throw some picks, but he's going to push it. And New Orleans should take this game pretty easily.
Yeah, I really was looking at this thing being a pickup or a over free pick, but I backed off for some reason. I think it's because all the pundits think this thing's getting under, but I don't see it this week. Next up, the Texans travel to New York to face the Jets, and they're favored by 5.5, with the over under set at 33. Simeon's in at quarterback, so maybe with some offensive production, the Jets D, which held the Falcons to 3 yards of play, could possibly be in the game. I mean, they were in the game last week, but with no offense, they just had no chance of winning. The Texans will be without Dell the rest of the season, so double up on Collins and Schultz. Make the other guys beat you, stop the run, and add some pressure to CJ as the formula for the rest of the week or the rest of the year. And the Jets could do that. Feels like the Jets can do that, but their offense is gonna struggle. Do they struggle enough to even keep it close? I don't know. 5.5 seems too many for the total, and the total seems about right here. Jeff, how does the Texas offense adjust without the loss of Dell?
So the loss of Dell does impact me. This one was one I would have gone over as a premium pick because I do think that they're a little undervaluing these two teams, but injuries are just kind of freaking me out. So I'm going to stay away from that. I'm going to go Houston to win this one straight up, but I think the Jets keep it close, even though they're putting Zach Wilson back in a really weird scenario at quarterback.
I didn't. I thought they were going with Simeon. They're going with Wilson.
And they're going with Wilson. And the stories that I'm hearing is that they weren't going to go with Wilson because he refused to start, and now he's changed his mind. If that's true, that's a really bad locker room issue. So, yeah, if Wilson starts despite objecting to starting originally, that could definitely spell doom for them. But it's just the kind of game that I think the Jets might just show up and make it tougher than you expect.
Yeah, this offensive production of the Jets, I mean, they've played well and they played poorly. I definitely think Rodgers would have opened up the run a little bit more, but they're not running the ball very well. And mainly because they can stack the box because they can't seem to get Garrett Wilson the football. CJ Husmanyata, I think that's his name, or CJ, the tight end is out for the season. I don't know if you saw it, you picked up on that one. That could hurt a little bit, but their offense just seems out of whack. And I agree with you. That's why it's tough. But I do think they'll keep it close against the Texans this week. I think with Dell out, I think their defense is going to be able to shut down Collins or Schultz and then force them to beat them with Singletary. And I don't know that they're going to do that in the cold in New York very well. So we'll see. The final 12 o'clock game, we got the Rams traveling east to face the Ravens, coming off a bye and favored by 7 to 7.5 with the over-under set at 40. The Rams are definitely back in the playoff hunt with a 3-game win streak and 2 good wins against the Seahawks and Browns in that stretch. Puka and Hobby are questionable for the Rams, but they will likely go. The Ravens are coming off a bye week, and they got a couple of defensive players on questionable, but they'll certainly go after the bye week. Game time temps will be in the mid 60s, 85% chance of rain, 20 mile an hour winds. The Grams are going east, and the turf is different. Feels like the Ravens get over the 7 easily, so I pause because I don't know why this is not a little bit more. So every time that's happened this year, it's made me question, right? So if you recall, the Rams kicked the field goal in week 2 to cover the total against the 49ers. That first week game against the Seahawks, I did not understand why the Rams won that game. So the Rams are a playoff bound team in my mind, and they have 2 tough games, one against the 49ers and one this week. But San Fran in week 17 ain't going to care, so the rest of their games are pretty easy. I'm staying away from this game, Jeff. I'll be honest with you. This one feels like a trap game to me. Jeff, does Baltimore cover here?
I think they do cover. I think so. the issue that it kind of tipped it for me was the weather. I think Cup with his hamstring issues is going to struggle a little bit in the weather in Baltimore. So it's gonna, and of course we got Puka is a little bit dinged up anyway. Stafford in cold weather, some of his ailments from being a 50-year-old quarterback. Not exactly, but he's pretty old. So yeah, I'm thinking this one kind of slows down their offense a little bit. So I'm taking Baltimore to cover here easily.
All right. Next up, the Vikings travel to Vegas, take on the Raiders. The Vikings are favored by 3 on the road with the over and under set at 40 and a hook. The Vikings get Jefferson back, comes in healthy with Dobbs getting the nod again at quarterback, but Hall and Mullins are waiting in the wings. And they don't carry injury ratings. I guess they're fully back. Miller and Crosby are questionable for the Raiders, but look like they're going to go. Both teams are coming off a bye with no advantage since 2019, coming off a bye. Neither team's really done exceptionally well. Both of these defenses have played better than expected this year, and I know the Vikings D can be run on, and the Raiders can pound the rock. Makes me think things are going to go a little bit under the total here. I'm not about to lay chalk on the road with Dobbs at quarterback for my money, so I'm staying away. But I kind of like Vegas to win out right here at home. Jeff, does Dobbs get it done on the road in Vegas?
I'm going to give Dobbs a little bit of credit because he's been doing most of what he's done so far without Jefferson. So with Jefferson, I think they win straight up, but it's one of those that's within a couple of points. So I'm probably staying away. I would take the Raiders if I had to take against the spread.
Yeah, I'm going to go Raiders to win this thing at home, but it's only because I just don't trust the Vikings offense. I think Jefferson's going to be a little bit slow getting back into the mix. Next up, the 49ers host the Seahawks. The 49ers have won the past 4 games, but the Hawks retain the lead in the series 30-21. The Hawks need this one bad, given the dogfight they're in with the Rams and the Packers for a wild card spot. The 49ers favored by 10.5, and the over-under is 46 and a hook. Obviously the Seahawks coming off a tough loss that they could have won in Dallas, but they were not able to stop Dak. Obviously the 49ers are coming off that beatdown of the Eagles and holding the Eagles offense at 19 points. This defense of the San Francisco is amazing in my opinion with the addition of Young. It was great before then, but with him in the game, it's even better. I think Bosa's given Young some nutrition classes, so I expect Young to get even better over the next couple of years. I don't know. Bosa follows a pretty strict eating plan that he's got a nutritionist and chef. I watched a show on that, and I bet you that based on their Ohio State connection that he hooks up Young, and next thing you know, Chase Young is back to defensive MVP form with those two guys. Watch the situation, though, with Dre Greenlaw as he was thrown out of the game to see if there's going to be any NFL action. Shouldn't be from based on the situation that I saw, but, he's pretty key to that defense. He's a high-energy player. I like the 49ers to win, but given how tough the Hawks play the 49ers, I can see this thing keeping it to a touchdown. Jeff, any thoughts here?
So I think this is the last major hurdle that San Francisco has to overcome to at least secure a 2 seed. I think they still got a chance at the 1 seed, but I think they'll be motivated to ensure this win. I think Seattle probably shot their best shot last week with Dallas, and coming out with a loss there is going to be a little deflating. And I agree with you on the Chase Young thing. I think he is just getting better. The Ohio State connection with Bosa has really boosted him. I like San Francisco go to roll here. It's my second highest rated pick. Thought about it being my free pick, but I got one more that I'm going to select above it.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely like 49ers here. I just don't know if they take off the gas and the Hawks keep it close because they're in such of a need. They're thirsty for a win in Seattle. So And they've traditionally always played San Francisco tough. So I just don't know how that translates.
Yep.
Hey, game of the week is up next with the Bills traveling to the Chiefs. The Chiefs are favored by 2.5, and the over/under is 48 and a hook. The Bills are coming off a bye and a close loss to Philly the week prior. The Chiefs are coming off a bad loss at Lambeau to the emergent Packers. Love threw 3 touchdowns and anticipate Allen do the same. Tranquil and Cook are questionable for the Chiefs on the defensive side, and Pacheco on the offensive side, and the receivers are still all number 2s and number 3s. Buffalo's coming in relatively healthy, while it feels like the Chiefs are a better team at home. The urgency to win is on the side of Buffalo to stay in the hunt for that wild card spot. I kind of like Buffalo. Jeff, who wins this game?
I think Buffalo wins this game. Kansas City is just, well, they're starved for offense right now. Other than Kelsey, they don't have a receiving threat that scares anybody. Pacheco is a little banged up, and then they had a lot of injuries to the secondary last week. So I kind of think Allen's going to have a pretty big game against them this week, and Buffalo wins this thing.
We're in agreement. I think Allen gets it done. They need it, and now I don't know that even if they win, they make the playoffs because they've got it. They've got an amazing run going into the. They've still got to face the Cowboys. They still got to face the Dolphins again. They got a tough schedule. So
and
we'll
they're
see.
Starting at the 11th seed in the AFC right now. They got a road to climb.
Yeah, they got a road to hoe for sure. Hey, next up, the Broncos travel to L.A. to take on the Chargers. The Chargers are favored at home by field goal, and the over/under is 44. I'm not sure about this one. Both teams are fighting for a wild card spot. And obviously the LA's head coach is clearly fighting for his job for the remainder of the season. The public money is clearly on Denver, 81%. Since 2020, these teams have split the games at 3-3. The public might be betting against the coach and not the team here, as many want him out. The Chargers have faced one of the toughest schedules this season and only lost to one team that is under 500, and that's the Titans in week 2. Otherwise, they lost to Miami, Kansas City, Dallas, Detroit, Baltimore, and the resurgent Packers. The Chargers D is getting better, and the offense has struggled in the last 3 weeks. The Broncos are opposite. They beat good teams and lose to bad teams. This feels like a pick'em game, Jeff. Who gets it done this week?
This is a pick'em game. I've got this really close. The offense scared me a little bit last week for the Chargers, but there was weather issues in New England. So I'm going to give them another week to bounce back. I think they edged this one out, but it is very close.
Yep. 14-3 Patriots up.
Yeah.
Knew that was coming.
I was going Pittsburgh in this thing. I thought they were the better team and equal coaches, but there's that little spark from the backup quarterback.
Yeah, I had to go Pittsburgh, even though part of me said go with the Pats.
Yep.
Belichick always plays the Pittsburgh tough. Hey, Sunday night though, we have the game of the week for sure. I think I called the Bills-Chiefs game, but it's a code game of the week with the Eagles traveling to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Cowboys are favored by 3.5. The over/under set at 40-52. This is my free pick. I was going to go as a premium, but I'm going with the free pick. Take the Cowboys minus 3.5. The Eagles are coming off a bad loss at home to the 49ers, where their offense got exposed by the 49ers dominating the D. The Cowboys are coming off 4 games win streak since their loss to Philly in week 9, scoring 33 points in each game. Dak is coming into the game with the MVP on the line if he can dominate. As good as Dallas has played, it was exposed a bit last week defensively against the Seahawks at home. It could have been just a bad spot as they were probably looking ahead. But I am concerned about the Metcalf torching the Cowboys for basically 134 and 3 touchdowns. Because Metcalf and Brown are very similar, and Brown kind of torched the Cowboys last game. Philly's secondary must step up for the Eagles to make it back to the Super Bowl, as they've been giving up about 305 yards a game. The Cowboys must step up this week and over the next 4 weeks, as they have to face the Eagles' Bills, Dolphins, and Lions. For the Cowboys, it will come down to the secondary stopping Hurts. Obviously, then Allen, Tua, and Goff to make it to the first seed. But I like them this week. Take them as a free pick. Dallas -3.5. Jeff, who gets the game of the week?
I think Dallas wins this one for the reasons that you talked about. The Philly secondary is struggling. Linebackers are terrible. I do think the Metcalf torching of Deron Bland was concerning, but once they switched and matched up Gilmore on Metcalf, that kind of eased the torching in the second half. So I think they'll probably do that a lot with Brown this week. I'm not sure about the cover for the spread. I think Dallas wins it, but it's going to be tough. Philly is definitely going to be ready for this, and they want to win this game to secure the NFC East. But I think Dallas wins, definitely.
Well, I got the Cowboys hat on. That's why I'm going with my free pick. So we'll see. 2 Monday night games, both at 7 o'clock. So if you don't like one, flip over to the other. Titans travel to Miami and take on the Dolphins. And the Fins are favored by 13.5, and the over-under set at 46 and a hook. Looks like King Henry be out with a concussion. Spears will get the nod and played well last week in relief. So I expect the Titans will keep it going on the ground. Phillips is on IR for the Dolphins, which could affect the Dolphins D. Baker and Holland are questionable for the game. Hunt, Armstead, Jones are also questionable on the offensive line for the Dolphins. So watch that closely. It's kind of a weird one. It's kind of like a Dallas effect. Well, maybe it could be a Dallas effect where they had 3 offensive linemen sit out against the Cardinals and then ended up losing. I'm not saying they're going to lose. I'm not saying they're going to be out, but just watch that closely because if you're going to take the Dolphins, 13.5 is a lot of points to lay chalk on. The Titans have really only beat one team over 500, and Burrow, and that was Cincinnati in week 4, and Burrow was struggling with that calf injury. Given how well Miami has played against teams under 500, I think Vegas got this thing right on the spread and the total, unless the injuries come into play. Jeff, do the Titans even have a chance here on Monday night?
Win? No. Miami definitely wins this game. They win it comfortably. I think if they wanted to, they probably could have scored 60 last week against the Commanders. I think they probably could easily cover 13 against Tennessee. But you always run into the question when you have a big spread of how much the team wants to finish this game out. I'm going to lean Miami against the spread, but I wouldn't make this a strong pick.
Laying 13.5 chalk's tough to do.
Yes, it is.
Especially when they have been beaten bad teams as bad as they have all season long. Hey, next up, the resurgent Packers travel to New York, take on the Giants. The Packers favored by 6.5 on the road, and the over-under set at 36. The Giants are coming off a bye week and a 2-game win streak. Defensively, the Giants have played well in the past month. Historically, Green Bay leads the series and are 3-1 going back to 16. But they lost last year in 22. Jones got it done last year, but Jones isn't playing. Watson and Jones are questionable for the Packers, and I would assume Watson will not play with the hammy injury against this team. They probably want to save him. The Pack are 4-1 in the last 5 games, and they beat the Chiefs, Lions in that stretch, while the Cowboys have a gauntlet to face. The Pack don't. They're facing the Giants, Bucks, Panthers, Vikings, and Bears. I feel like they're going to get all of them, and they're going to end up 11-6 as a wild card team, and Jordan Love will be the hero. Jeff, do the Giants have a shot coming off a bye this week to win or cover?
Hopefully not, because this is my free pick. I think Green Bay is surging. The fact that they don't have Watson as the big receiving threat concerns me a little bit, but the Giants really aren't that good. And I think Green Bay is motivated because I do think they can run the rest of their schedule out. So I think this is my free pick. I'm taking Green Bay to win and cover.
All right. So you heard it here. Jeff says take Green Bay -6.5 against the Giants. I say take Dallas -3.5 against the Eagles. Now we're going to move on to our straight up picks. Right now, Jeff's up on me by 3. And I think we got quite a few differences this week as well. So I think this could be a key indicator for the remainder of the season. So despite the fact that I wanted to go with New England, I ended up taking the Steelers Thursday night and got to stay true to my pick. So I'm taking the Steelers. Jeff, did you take the Pats?
No, I took Pittsburgh as well. I took the Pats against the spread, but Pittsburgh straight up.
Yeah, I actually took I think that was one of my premium picks. No, it wasn't. I thought about making it a premium pick, but no, I didn't make it a premium pick because it's a Thursday game. But I would have taken the 6 against there because I think it'll end up being a field goal, even if the Steelers come back. So I got the Bucks over the Falcons, Jeff. I think this is where we differ.
This is our first difference. I'm sticking with my Atlanta love.
I got Lions over the Bears.
Same here.
I got Colts over the Bengals. I think we're different here too.
So we are different on the straight up. Yes, this was one of those injury issues that I was concerned about, but I'm going to stick with Cincinnati to win this.
Okay, well, they get 2.5 too, so the Colts are favored. So that's not a bad premium pick if you think they're going to win straight up. I've got the Browns over the Jags.
I switched to Cleveland with the injury to the QB injury is one of the big things that I factor in. So yeah, I'm switching to Cleveland.
Yeah, I can't roll with a backup there in Jacksonville. I got the Panthers over the Saints. You're probably different here.
I am. I like New Orleans in this one. Carolina is just struggling so badly this year. And wouldn't hurt if they went ahead and secured the 1 and 2 picks this year in the draft.
Yeah, I got I think the Bears get their number 1 pick. I think I took the Jets, or I'm sorry, I took the Texans over the Jets, but I like the Jets to cover.
I've got the same. I've got Houston straight up, Jets to cover.
I got Ravens over the Rams.
Same here.
I got the Raiders over the Vikings at home.
I've got Minnesota. I think Dobbs and Jefferson are going to gel pretty well.
I got the 49ers over the Hawks.
Easy one for me.
I got the Bills over the Chiefs.
Same here.
I took the Chargers over the Broncos, believe it or not.
I took them as well. I think I'm going to give them a little bit longer to see if that offense comes back to life.
I got the Cowboys over the Titans.
Same here.
And I got Packers over the Giants. Obviously, we're same there.
And that's my free pick, yes.
Yep. So I see us different on the Raiders, Vikings. I got the Raiders. You got the Vikings. Panthers, Saints. I got the Panthers. You took the Saints. Colts, Bengals. I got the Colts. You got the Bengals. And Bucks, Falcons. You got the Falcons, and I have the Bucks.
Correct.
All right, rookies. There you have it. That's our week 14. Hopefully, it's a bounce back week for us. At least for me. Jeff's played pretty well last week, straight up, and at least his premium picks were at 50%. Mine were not. Jeff, give you the last word this week.
Well, I will say, in my defense, typically I do bounce back after a 50% or below week. I'm still at 61% for the year. So I'm hoping this is a bounce back week. I think I've got some pretty good ones. And my last little tidbit is I'm thinking there's some pretty good round robin or parlay bets this week. I think you got Baltimore, Miami, Green Bay, and San Fran that are locks. And if you throw in Detroit for a little bit of extra juice, you might can do pretty well on a parlay or round robin.
Yeah, you can also tease some of these games pretty easily as well, and kind of set those teasers as a base. So good luck, and we'll see you next week, rookies.